Hi, my name is Rebecca McGee, and this video is the second in a quick video series over pension and dropback strategies, a webinar that we presented in March of 2026 that was presented by Lisa Dawson, who works with me. Quick reminder before we move forward, investments are not guaranteed. They're not FDIC insured. Anytime we talk about investments, please ask questions. During our last video, we did talk about some Voya pre-retirement tips for making sure you could access your Voya account. And then we started talking about your post-retirement paycheck. This video will be a continuation of that conversation. So there are some steps that we want you to take before you retire to build your retirement paycheck. So first of all, before you retire, it's important to have a plan. And you can think of a plan as a blueprint that you would use to build a house. Part of your blueprint could be very complex. Part of it could be very, very simple. For example, you need to have a conversation with your spouse or any other important person in your financial life about your financial priorities. It's important that your spouse and you are on the same page when it comes to money and your priorities. They may want to live very simply in retirement. You may want to do a lot of traveling. And so it's very, very important that you get on the same page, talk about what are our priorities with our finances and retirement. Is it critical that we leave money to the kids? Is it not critical? I don't really care if they ever receive a dime. So these are important conversations to have. And then gather your resources. So this is the getting organized part of any blueprint. Know what you have and what you need. So how much does it cost you to live? This is your basic budget. This is your retirement budget. How much does health insurance cost? How much does it cost to maintain your home? And then what is your Social Security going to look like? What is your if you have it, what is your pension going to look like? If you have it, what are your other savings and resources? And then once you have all of that organized and you look at the spouse's 401k and your 457 with Voya and all of these resources that you have in all of these different places, then you can start to calculate a paycheck estimate before you retire. And when we say paycheck, we just mean where's your retirement income coming from? How are you paying the bills after you retire? Do you have enough? Will it last? Is it tax efficient? And do you have gaps? And so we start with those incomes that we can't control through anything other than continuing to work. So your pension, Social Security, any numbers like that that are givens. And then we look at, okay, can I live on that or can I not? And if I can't, how much savings do I have to supplement that enough to meet my monthly expenses? Creating a punch list is something builders do all the time. When you get the build done, then you take a look and say, okay, what needs to be corrected? What needs to be fixed? Are there any gaps? Do we need to go back and make some changes? And so that is the process that you need to take, or you need to have us help you take to determine your retirement income. Retirement is different than saving. Even if you're really, really good at saving and investing money, typically what that means is you set aside a certain amount every month. It comes out automatically out of your paycheck. You choose some investments, and that is how you save well. But using your money in retirement well is a very different skill set. And so you really have to look at what is that gap in your income? How does that gap change over time? And have you factored the risks that you might run into your overall financial plan? So the first risk we talk about is market risk. The timing and size of your withdrawals in retirement matters a lot. Remember, I said it's a completely different skill set. Saving is so valuable, and saving every month is so valuable because when you put those amounts into your retirement, let's say you set aside $500 per paycheck. $500 buys more shares when the market is down than it buys when the market is up. So you're actually buying more when things are on sale, when stock is cheaper, and buying less when stock is more expensive. When you're putting in the same amount every month, you're not managing this, you're not thinking about it, it's just happening. But that same process, if you're taking out the same amount every month, can really hurt you. So it helps you when you're buying to buy more at low prices, but it doesn't help you when you're trying to maintain a steady income in retirement. And so the timing and size of your withdrawals matters a lot. A lot of times, one strategy we use and that you might use for your retirement is bucketing your money. So thinking about how much money you're going to need to take from your investments in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term, and investing longer term dollars at a higher rate of risk and a higher potential rate of return than you would invest your short term dollars. And so these buckets can be used to refill each other. We can have you take income out of the short term bucket, and then as you draw that down, replenish it from the intermediate and long-term buckets when the market is doing well, when those prices are higher. And so we can be deliberate about that. Timing and size of withdrawals also matters, and I cannot overemphasize this when it comes to taxation of withdrawals. So we'll come back to this later, but it is important to think about how much you're taking out each tax year and how much that impacts your taxes over time. So the timing and the size of your withdrawals matters for making your money last in terms of how it's invested, but it also matters for your taxation. Longevity risk, your expenses obviously don't end. And when you retire, a woman turning age 65 today can expect to live on average until 86. A man to 84. Now, we know some of you are in very high risk jobs, and these numbers look ridiculous to you. You can't imagine living to 86. You know people who've worked with you who have died in the line of duty or who have passed away from medical events much, 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 much younger. And you're thinking, I'll be lucky if I live 3 years. So we want to acknowledge that, but also recognize that we have to plan as if you're going to live a long time, even if not for you, for the people that you love and care about. So maybe you're not going to live more than 3 years, but what about your important people? What about your spouse? What about your kids? What about the people who are going to miss you the most if something happens? 1 in 4 65-year-olds today will live past age 90. And with that longevity risk comes the expenses that are associated with being older. The other risk you have is inflation. The cost is going up each year. I used to have to explain inflation. We used to have to explain what that meant, but now we've all lived it, right? We know that the cost of eggs can double overnight. And so you don't even have to live 20 years to find that inflation impacts your ability to buy things. And so this slide just shows that $50,000 today with just a 3% rate of inflation, which we've had much higher some years, with just a 3% rate of inflation in 20 years, that only buys $27,000 worth of things. So you've halved your buying power through inflation, and many pensions do not have cost of living adjustments. And Social Security has a little cost of living adjustment, but often if you talk to people who are on Social Security, they will say it's not kept up with the actual cost of living. And so even if you have little cost of living adjustments, inflation makes a huge difference. And we love it if you're debt-free. We love if you have a paid off home. We love if you don't take out debt on cars. But inflation impacts you even if you're in that fantastic situation where you own your home. because you still have taxes, you still have insurance, you're still insuring that vehicle, you're potentially buying other vehicles, cost of bread and milk, all of the basic necessities of life continue to go up. And so keep in mind those big potential risks when it comes to your retirement savings, and you'll invest accordingly. This is the second in a video series over that webinar. I'm going to stop this video at this point, and we'll pick up again in video 3. Thank you for joining us, and feel free to rejoin us in video 3. Again, my name is Rebecca McGee. You can find all of these videos on our YouTube site, and you're looking for our pension and Dropback videos.